Next up, we have the principles of training, and the principles of training are going to help us to change basically anything we're looking to change in our life. They specifically relate to the components of fitness, and it helps to make sense out of how we progress in training or how we change our fitness levels as we go about trying that. If you apply the principles of training, you will see change in your life, and depending on what area you're looking for, you will see change potentially in your fitness levels or in basically any other area within your life, including your physical development. The closer you are to good fitness, it's going to help enhance the quality of your health. And the big thing is not just about living longer, but it's about how well you live today. First principle of training is the principle of overload. The idea with overload is that every day our body goes through a certain amount of stress. And our body has accommodated us to deal with that stress, whether it be, cardio fitness or flexibility. We work our body through a certain degree of each one of those components of fitness. And if we want to change that, we have to increase the stress that is put on our body. So we have to increase that stress. And what happens is, by nature, our body will change. Now, with that said, here's an example. Milo over here. Milo, when he was young, lifted up this calf. And obviously it didn't weigh near as much. He would lift it up on a daily basis. As he grew older, you can imagine what might have happened to the calf. The calf got bigger, it weighed more, and Milo continued to lift it up every day. And by lifting it every day, his body had to lift a little bit more each day, and that little bit more is overload. So he kept overloading his body, he kept changing the stress that was on his body, and over the course of time he was able to lift more until now he's lifting a full-grown bull over his head. So your body's going to go through a certain amount of stress each day. In order to increase or change what you are doing or want out of your fitness levels, you kind of have to change that stress. Now, the way stress is to change any one of these: frequency, intensity, or time. The other thing is type. You can also change the type of exercise that you do. So, very simply put, frequency is how often. So, how many times per week am I doing this? Intensity is going to be how hard. How hard is defined differently depending on what component of fitness we're talking about. It may be how fast we are running or swimming or skiing. It may be how fast our heart rate is, like in the fun run when we're working on that. Or it might have to do with the resistance in muscle fitness. So how much are we lifting? What is the weight, the poundage, okay, that we are lifting? In flexibility, it is tension in the muscle. And that's kind of an example for each. Then time is specifically how long do I exercise. It could be sets and reps. So maybe I'm doing 3 sets of 10. It could be I'm going to go for 45 minutes on a jog. So time can be defined as minutes or sets and reps potentially. So now we come to progression. We've put more stress on our body, we've overloaded it, then our body changes. Our body makes that jump, and the stress we had put on our body isn't really that hard anymore. Now we have to change that overload again. So we have to change either frequency, intensity, time, or the type of exercise that we're doing to continue to progress. If we progress too fast, this is what we look like. We don't get what we need. If we progress too slow, we don't change that fast. However, progressing slowly is always better because it's going to help prevent injury. Okay, there is a right amount of progression for each thing that we do, and we'll kind of talk about each one of those with each of the components of fitness as we go through the year. Next principle of training basically says that if I want to change a certain component of fitness, then I have to work on that particular component of fitness. So, in the picture below, you see this guy, and he's all very muscular looking, and he's asking the doctor why he doesn't have that good at cardio fitness. Well, based on what he looks like, it looks like he's done a lot of work in muscle fitness, but maybe not so much in cardio fitness. He's expecting to change his cardio fitness by working on muscle fitness, and that's not the case. If you want to change your cardio fitness, you need to increase your heart rate for an extended period of time between 20 and 90 minutes. Continuous. If you want to change flexibility, you need to work on flexibility. That's what this is saying. So there's a lot of specifics up here. But the main idea is that if you want to change a particular component of fitness or a certain thing about the way you are, then you need to work on that specific thing. Now, I know when I was a kid, I always thought, hey, I worked out, now I've built up this nice tank of muscle and it'll be around forever. It's like, when you buy something for your car, if you buy new wheels on your car and you put them on, it's like they're on there forever, and that's a part of it. Truth is, your body is very efficient. So it only keeps what it needs. And if it doesn't need it, it gets rid of it. So either use it or lose it. So if you have good fitness and you consistently work on it, you will keep it. If you have good fitness and you stop doing what you're doing, the principle of reversibility basically says that results are not permanent. If you are inactive for an extended period of time, you're going to lose what you've built up. So you go from having nice biceps to having this little bump. I don't know what it is, but it's a little bump and it's underneath there. And the other thing I'll point out is you go from having blue eyes to green eyes. These are kind of the minimum training guidelines for flexibility. 3 times a week is a frequency you want to shoot for. You want to have mild discomfort as far as tension when you're stretching. The type of stretching you'd like to use is static, and you want to hold each stretch between 20 and 60 minutes. With cardio fitness, it needs to be continuous exercise. Your frequency should be 3 times per week. The intensity should have your heart rate somewhere between 130 and 180 beats per minute to see change happen in cardio. And then it should be a minimum of, like we said, or I said before, 20 minutes. You want to use large muscle groups. Doing small finger exercises is probably not going to work out for cardio. For muscle endurance or any muscle fitness, you want to work every other day. And you're going to notice a difference right here between the intensity, and you're also going to notice a difference between the time between endurance. Now take a peek. Strength. Notice it gets a little higher there. Every other day is still what we're shooting for. Even 3 times per week is good. So basically, in review, the principles of training. So in review, the principles of training are as follows. Overload, which is going to be putting a certain amount of stress on our body more than it's used to so we can see change. Overload is going to be changed by frequency, intensity, time, or type. Those are the areas that you can change. And once your body has kind of become used to the overload, you need to progress. So progression. is the next one, and progression is changing overload to continue to build on your fitness level. Regression is going to be the use it or lose it idea. If you're not challenging yourself or overloading your body or trying to maintain your fitness level, you'll lose it. The last one is going to be specificity. Specificity, thank you, spell check. Specificity is going to mean that if I want to get better cardio fitness, I need to work at cardio fitness. I can't go do push-ups to expect myself to get better cardio fitness. So now kind of the link is going to be, how do I put this all together in my head? And that's what the idea of this class is. We need to learn, if I want to get better cardio fitness, how do I do it? And that's what we're going to go into. Thanks.